Hurricane Sandy, October 29, 2012. Superstorm Sandy walloped New Jersey, and almost 2 years later, cleanup and rebuilding is still going on. Meet Marie Maiorino from Highlands.
I was stupid enough to stay here. So when the water just rushed through, my brother was living with me at the time, and we grabbed the 2 dogs and ran upstairs to his room because my bedroom's on the 1st floor, and waited for the night to end.
What kind of damage did you have?
My complete 1st floor. I had 6 feet of water through the house, so everything I owned. Thankfully, a friend of mine took me in. Right after it happened, he took my brother, me, my 2 dogs, my bird, and my brother has since got an apartment, but I want to stay close to the house, so I want to stay in town.
Just recently did an assessment that 3 out of 2,300 rentals in the 2-county area actually accepted pets. And this is a fairly pet-friendly community, and yet the rental community is not very pet-friendly. So we're concerned that that might also now impede people returning to their permanent housing.
In Marie's case, the issue was the contractor she selected for the job.
I hired a contractor that I paid over $40,000, and then I found out none of the work was being done correctly. So I'm pretty much at a standstill. The volunteers have come in to help, but they can't do it all, and I don't have the money to do it myself.
So what do you think's going to happen? What will happen?
I don't know.
To the house and to you?
I don't know. See, now I want to cry. I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see.
New Jersey's long-term recovery groups, nonprofits, and church-based organizations are trying to help Marie and others still not back home after the storm. There are groups of volunteers like young people from Michigan who came to help Marie clean out her yard, which she needed to clean up, or face fines.
And basically taking the brush and pulling it out and weed whacking and just cleaning up just normal maintenance of a yard that had been neglected because of no time and resources to be able to do it. And so we were happy to do it, and the young people, teenagers, early 20s did a great job. They have a lot of energy, and so they bagged it all up, and now we're going to just take it off the premises so she can get on with her life and worry about other things that she has to deal with.
I work for Home Depot, and hopefully once I can get some of the major work done, my friends from work will come and pitch in and give me a hand with what I can do.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo estamos?
A lot of these workers are working in residential construction, especially a lot of pro-Sandy projects, so making sure that they know their safety rights on the job and know how to respond to an issue if it arises.
Craig Garcia works for New Labor, an organization that trains day laborers, letting them know about worker rights under the Occupational Safety and Health Act, or OSHA. Some of that training takes place on New Jersey's street corners or parking lots as potential laborers wait, hoping to be selected for a day's work.
Unfortunately, we see all sorts of problems, anything ranging from workers not being provided with the proper safety equipment. Poorly constructed scaffolding is an issue that we've seen a lot. There's a lot of house raising that's been going on over the past couple of months, and that can be a particularly dangerous activity, and if folks don't receive the appropriate training from their employer, it can be a very dangerous job. So one thing is we've been going out here making sure that they understand the risk and they know how to protect themselves, and then we also go and check on the houses that they're working on to make sure that everything is safe. So what I've seen a lot of recently when I've gone out there is especially two problems. The ladders are not tall enough that they're barely just hitting the upper rung that they're trying to hit, which makes it unstable. And then very often you're talking about beachfront properties where they're based in sand, so they're not very secure at the bottom. And very often I see this little shuffle that workers are doing, checking the ladder and seeing that it's not stable, thinking about it a little bit, and then deciding that, well, I gotta go up and do my work anyway, so I'm just gonna go up this ladder. And that can be pretty dangerous.
New Labor and the New Jersey Work Environment Council's Safer After Sandy project educate workers, homeowners, and volunteers about identifying and preventing hazards that can occur in sandy-damaged properties as people clean up and rebuild.
Are you rebuilding after Hurricane Sandy? Do it safely. Avoid falls and illness caused by mold exposure. To find out more, visit saferaftersandy.org. This message brought to you by
The Safer After Sandy public service announcements focus on the proper use of ladders, safe use of generators, and mold removal. Yet having a place to call home, whether it be a house or rental property, free of hazardous conditions like mold, is something some Sandy survivors still don't have, almost 2 years after the superstorm hit.
Majority of the people are not back home. You'll see, as you travel through town, you'll see houses being raised, but then next will be a house that might have been abandoned because people just couldn't deal with it. Or else you'll see people just still living with family, couch surfing, those kinds of things. It's heartbreaking.
And we see a lot of people who are coming to us because they're paying bills in two places. They're trying to maintain their mortgage. They are living with family members and trying to help cover costs there. So that's sort of a hidden population. I guess estimate at this point that may be in the thousands across Monmouth and Ocean counties, but it's probably the most elusive number that we have.
Giesela Smith had just recently opened her business, the Bay Avenue Bakery and Café in Highlands, when Sandy struck.
We're in our first year, really, so we're beginning to build a good-sized customer base, and then that just goes away. I mean, half of the town still doesn't live here. As you can see if you drive up and down any of the side streets, how many houses are still empty and vacant. And, you know, it is signs of hope yet and still. I mean, a lot of houses are going up and people are coming back, but this is 21 months later. So sustained water level was about 8.5 feet, but at the one particular surge, it went over the top of the walk-in refrigerator. So about 13.5 feet, we estimate at that. Whenever that surge came in, you know, it was enough to. So then, of course, you know, it took right around 6 months for us to get reopened because pretty much everything had to be completely redone. You know, we had to, all the equipment had to be repaired. We moved as much stuff as we could, but when they finally called for evacuation, you only have a matter of hours to get everything out, and I had to evacuate my house as well. So at the 9th hour, I threw my 4 screaming cats and my howling dog into the van and, you know, went away with a bag of clothes, and that was it.
Giesela is still not back in her house. She made the bakery rebuild her priority because it was other people's livelihoods at stake as well. Now she's hoping to get back into her house.
For the first time in the history of its 110 years, this house took on roughly about 24 inches, 2 feet of water. So the entire downstairs, and you know what happens, we weren't let immediately back into town, so the existing sheetrock just sucks it up like a sponge. So basically the whole, as you can see, downstairs has been gutted.
Where have you been since Sandy hit?
Well, fortunately, by the grace of God which passes, my sister loves me, and I live with her now in Atlantic with my 4 cats and my dog, which is, you know, rather an imposition. But
No, it's not. Have a big enough house.
That's true.
Everybody's welcome.
Well, I know, but I thought it'd be a matter of weeks. I never in my wildest imagination thought when I ran out of here with my 1 bag of clothes and my toothbrush that it would be 21 months, 2 years. It's going to definitely be 2 years, at least, you know. It is emotionally draining, or I have a high level of stress with just having resurrected the business. So I think that at some point I just can't handle it. I pull up here and it's just so overwhelming because there's a pile of debris. You know, the weeds are 9 feet tall. I can't even figure out how to get a weed whacker, never mind a lawnmower. I work 7 days a week, so it becomes so overwhelming that I just can't do it. So then I sort of push it that way, and my sister comes and collects my mail.
And what are you seeing with all of this in the
I see that
community?
she's depressed and she's not really accepting that or dealing with it. Our background is you just suck it up and go. You're not allowed to be depressed, or I tell her, take a day off, take 2 days off, I'll help you. So we're going to do that, I think, next week.
Yeah, we have to get, unfortunately, at the time, you try to save what you think you're going to save, so everything got thrown upstairs that we thought could potentially be, you know, you don't know what to do. It was just crazy. And so the upstairs is now, it looks like an aged hoarder has lived up there. I have to get all that stuff out of here, never mind the 6 to 8 feral cats that are perfectly happy with that nice, soft, moldy mattress up there.
Leo Cervantes also saw his business, Chilango's Mexican restaurant in Highlands, destroyed by Sandy.
I was in Mexico visiting my family the week before Sandy. Actually, the day before Sandy, I came back from Mexico. It was a Sunday. I came inside the restaurant. My wife said, what do we do? I said, let's just take a couple of the artwork that we have, the registers, and let's get out. You know, nothing else we can do. My mother's tablecloths that she gave me. We went home, we boarded up our windows, and we just waited to see what was gonna happen. Next day when we came in, you know, there was 6.5 feet of water inside this place that it was already going, to find our place totally destroyed.
From his experience with Hurricane Irene, he knew he wanted to save the food in his restaurant kitchen for the locals who had no electricity or food.
I was happy to go to the shelter and found this beautiful kitchen with, you know, gas, power, electricity. And from that point on, we did nothing but cook for the community, a couple hundred people. We had the Red Cross people eating high-end, you know, Mexican cuisine, Italian, a little bit of everything, filet mignon, shrimp. You know, it was fun. It was good to see other friend restaurants coming in to bring food that they also saved. For the next two to 3 weeks, that's what we did. I concentrated with my team to help out the community.
Then others in the community helped Leo, and he got his restaurant back.
8 months later, June 6th, 2013, we were able to reopen the doors. It's a beautiful, you know, ending now, or beginning.
Manasquan organization of volunteer efforts, known as MOVE, are volunteers who want to give Sandy victims a chance at a new beginning. It's the successor organization of the Ministerium, a group of 12 churches that came together after Sandy.
They couldn't do this on a long-term basis, so it ended on June 30th, 2013. And what they were looking for was another group of private citizens who would get together and do some long-term disaster recovery relief work, so that the community would know that if anything ever happened again, there would be this group available.
MOVE provides educational programming, counseling, and the Furniture Bank.
The Furniture Bank will provide, at the request of individuals who are in need, bedding, and generally it's new bedding, couches, tables, and all of this furniture has been donated from various people in the community. So they are just kind of moving it from one spot to the needy. And it's absolutely wonderful. There were so many people who were displaced from their homes and had to rent, and they came to MOVE and said, help us to set up our new homes.
MOVE's Furniture Bank is getting a lot of calls now because some places that originally were helping with furniture and home contents are phasing out or no longer assisting Sandy survivors in the same way.
What we've found for the most part is in communities where most of the homes are owner occupied, what you're seeing now, almost 2 years later, is people are starting to get their elevation grant money. So you see some of these smaller houses being lifted. But if you look in the communities like Keensburg, where most houses are occupied by renters, you only see a few houses going up. And the renters, they're sort of the people that have fallen through the cracks. They need more help than ever now. Some of them moved from one place to another. We helped one person who works for Catholic Charities. She's a disaster case manager herself. She told me she'd moved about 12 times already since the storm because she lost her home, and they just moved them from one place to another. I'm Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia. I'm Corinne. Nice to meet you.
That's what happened to Corinne Marks.
Well, we were displaced from the apartment that we were living in, and then we had to go to a winter rental, which was very hard to find. We found it literally 9 minutes after it hit the realtor.com because there was nothing available because there were so many people that were out of homes. So we found it like within seconds that it was posted, and then we had to take that and live there on a temporary basis. And then we moved again. We've moved about maybe 4 or 5 times since then.
Corinne Marks is living with her 3 children and needed furniture.
Today, we're being provided with beds, the box springs, the frames, and everything else, because right now we had an air mattress and it popped, and we have one twin mattress, and that's it. So thank God, because I have 3 kids, so we're getting the beds provided to us, and they're also providing nightstands with the dresser.
Olivia DiCelio, a homeowner in Highlands, has also lived a number of places since Sandy hit and destroyed her home.
I lived in a little bungalow type of home with like 7-foot ceilings, and I had about 4.5 feet of water in there, and it just totally destroyed everything. All my furnishings, all my personal belongings, my clothes, just everything. I went to my sister's house, who lives in Little Silver, and I stayed there overnight. I went up to North Jersey to visit with my daughter and stayed there for a bit, but I live down here, so that was a bad commute, so I decided to stay down here. I was lucky enough to be at the Sheridan for a few weeks. I went from a friend's house to another friend's house to another family house down here for a couple of days, here and there. And then I was very fortunate enough to get picked to stay at Fort Monmouth in the Army base. And from that is where I wind up here now in Pine Tree.
Olivia is now living in one of the trailers in Pine Tree, the manufactured home park made possible by the Affordable Housing Alliance.
Several people have relocated there permanently who lost their housing in the storm. We have had a number of people who've located there temporarily, so until their rental unit or until their single-family home unit was replaced, they stayed there. We've had people who stayed there on an interim basis until they could find alternate housing, and some people relocated to other parts of the state or other parts of the country. And more recently, what we're working on is using a couple of the units for those people now in the recovery process who have to vacate their home for things like elevation and reconstruction.
The town of Highlands has condemned my house, so yes, it has to be torn down. I have to go up. I'm not sure how high yet I have to go up, between 10 and 12 feet, because I'm right near the water. And they're going to put pilings up and then just build me a new house from that.
The Affordable Housing Alliance has a new program that might identify the right new home for Olivia's lot. It's the Bayshore Bungalow Program for low or moderate income families.
Our hope is that those low, moderate, or middle-income families that do not have a lot of expendable cash or a lot of capital that they can raise to replace their home might consider working with us to allow us to move forward in replacing their home with a modular home of like kind and size. We are standing right now in our new Home Ownership Recovery Center, which also includes a very qualified and highly trained housing counselors who can help people estimate the future costs of maintaining these new homes. It's one thing to get back in a home. It's one thing to get all the subsidies that may be available through FEMA and the state of New Jersey to return to your home. But if your home now is valued at 3 times it was before it was destroyed, the tax burden may be way outside your budget. And so we want people to be able to make informed decisions about the decisions that they're making, not just making sort of emotional decisions about their recovery process.
I came from Mexico, outside Mexico City, the skirts of Mexico City. Tough, if you want to say tough, garbage dump across the street from where we live, cardboard roof house, no shoes sometimes, no food sometimes. Very tough. You know, you see it on TV. I came to the U.S. when I was 19 years old, searching for, you know, a better life a better way, like a lot of immigrants. I found the land of opportunity. Today I get to own my own business. I get to respect people, to be respected. I get to give. I've learned that by giving, you get back. I'm not looking to get back, but I always do, by giving.
Tell me what you'd like to see happen.
I want to come home. I want to bring my dog home. I want to live here. I love this town. You can't beat the location until the water comes through you. I want to come home.